Just 2 years ago, Fort Myers was the epicenter of Florida's housing frenzy. Now, that same market is spiraling into a crisis even the governor can't ignore. What triggered the collapse of a city once hailed as unbeatable? And could this disaster spread even further? Median home values have plunged 11% from their pandemic peak, wiping out years of paper gains in less than 24 months. Inventory has exploded. Over 14,500 homes are now listed for sale across Cape Coral and Fort Myers, a number not seen since the aftermath of the last crash. National housing trackers now rank Fort Myers among the worst-performing markets in the country. For homeowners who bought at the height of the boom, the math is brutal. Nearly 8% now owe more than their homes are worth, the highest share in the nation. For a family that bought a $400,000 home with a minimal down payment, selling today would mean bringing cash to the closing table just to escape the debt. The spread between asking and sale prices has widened, and appraisers struggle to find recent comparable sales that justify even the new, lower offers. Behind these numbers, the consequences are mounting. Foreclosure filings are on the rise. Small builders report project stalls and layoffs as unsold homes pile up. For every seller cutting their price, there's a buyer waiting for an even deeper discount, convinced the bottom hasn't arrived. In Fort Myers, the data is no longer abstract. It's a daily reckoning, playing out on every block. For buyers watching from the sidelines, the numbers in Fort Myers translate into real-life consequences. The median home price now hovers near $375,000, but that headline figure hides a deeper affordability crunch. Despite falling prices, higher mortgage rates and ballooning insurance premiums have pushed monthly payments far beyond what many local families can handle. Those who bought with small down payments during the peak now find themselves trapped, unable to sell without taking a loss. For families who stretched to buy at $400,000, today's market means owing more than the house is worth, with no easy way out. Lenders are tightening standards, requiring higher credit scores and bigger down payments, leaving even fewer options for buyers hoping to enter the market. Investors, too, are feeling the squeeze. Many who snapped up properties in 2021 and 2022 now face shrinking rents and rising vacancies, with little hope of flipping for a profit. Some are offloading homes at a loss, while others hold on, hoping for stabilization that remains stubbornly out of sight. Each new price cut chips away at confidence, and every unsold listing is a reminder that risk in Fort Myers is no longer theoretical. It's personal, and it's growing. Open houses became spectacles. Agents recall lines stretching down the sidewalk, with buyers offering above list price just to secure a spot in a lottery for the next available unit. Some houses sold sight unseen, flipped between investors twice before a single family ever moved in. At the height of the frenzy, crews poured foundations day and night, and neighborhoods that had sat dormant for years suddenly buzzed with trucks and heavy equipment. Title records from 2021 and 2022 show private equity firms like Invitation Homes and Pretium Partners acquiring hundreds of properties in Lee County alone, often bundling purchases to turn into rentals or flip for quick profit. Speculators, emboldened by soaring values and easy credit, pushed prices higher with every transaction. Even small local contractors joined the rush, expanding into new subdivisions and hiring crews at a pace not seen since the mid-2000s. The sense of urgency was contagious. Builders raced to lock in material contracts before costs could rise again, while investors scoured MLS feeds for the next undervalued listing. The promise of endless demand seemed to justify every risk. For a brief window, Fort Myers felt like a place where no one could lose. But the same forces driving this exuberance planted the seeds for oversupply. As permits multiplied and investor money poured in, the number of new homes under construction ballooned. By early 2023, entire developments stood half-finished, waiting for buyers who never arrived. The speculative pressure that once fueled the boom had set the stage for the flood of inventory and price cuts that would soon follow. In 2019, Lee County commissioners faced mounting pressure from builders and real estate lobbyists eager to capitalize on the flood of new arrivals. Council minutes from that spring reveal a heated debate over impact fees, the charges developers pay to help cover schools, roads, and utilities for each new home. By the end of that year, the county voted to roll back these fees, arguing that lower costs would keep construction humming and meet the region's unprecedented demand. Zoning boards followed suit, easing density caps and streamlining approvals for large-scale subdivisions stretching beyond the city's traditional footprint. This glut isn't limited to resale homes. Builders who once raced to keep up with demand now face a backlog of unsold inventory. Some have slashed prices by $50,000 or more on new construction, offering incentives from closing cost credits to free appliance packages. Yet for every home that finds a buyer, several more are added to the listings each week. The flood of supply has shifted the balance of power. Buyers now dictate terms, negotiating steep discounts and repairs that sellers would have scoffed at just 2 years ago. Price cuts are no longer reserved for fixer-uppers. Even pristine, move-in-ready homes are marked down, sometimes multiple times before attracting serious interest. The data paints a stark picture. In 2019, Fort Myers averaged just over 5,000 active listings. By 2023, that number had doubled. Now, it has nearly tripled, pushing the region's inventory-to-sales ratio to levels not seen since the aftermath of the financial crisis. Economists caution that the next 12 to 18 months will be critical, not just for Fort Myers, but for the broader Sun Belt. With investor appetite fading and affordability stretched thin, the risk of further contagion remains high. For now, the epicenter sits on Florida's Gulf Coast, but the tremors are being felt far beyond. The reckoning in Fort Myers is no longer a local crisis. It's a warning shot for every market that chased the boom without a safety net. In April 2025, home prices in Fort Myers have fallen 7.8% year over year, capping an 11% drop since the pandemic's peak. Over half of all listings have seen price cuts, and nearly 8% of local homeowners now owe more than their property is worth. These numbers mark the sharpest reversal in the region's modern history. The documentary traced the surge of migration and cheap credit, the role of policy decisions, and the mounting strain from insurance and oversupply. Yet, despite extensive public records and interviews, key details about internal state deliberations and the true scale of future foreclosures remain undisclosed. The crisis in Fort Myers now stands as a documented case of how rapidly market conditions can turn, affecting thousands of families and prompting urgent government action. The full impact for homeowners, buyers, and Florida's leaders continues to unfold. As of today, the evidence leaves one fact clear: the Fort Myers housing collapse is no longer a warning, but a reality with consequences still emerging.